And Ms. Savage, do you believe that to be your client? Is there,
I believe it is. We were in communication this morning, so she is aware of the hearing. So I think it's her.
I really need you to start your video and unmute yourself, Ms. Ballard, so that I can verify it's you. All right, I'm not sure what the issues are, but it is preferable to have you fully participate with the video feed so that I can verify it's you. At this time, you and Ms. Nahara will hear from you. We're set for a status hearing, and the purpose of today's hearing is to ensure that the department has developed reasonable and appropriate service plans for each of the parents, and let's hear about those. Can you raise your right hand? Do you swear and affirm that the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, thank you.
And Ms. Nahara, are you the caseworker for the Ballard children?
Yes, ma'am.
And where are those children currently placed?
They are placed in Houston, Texas.
In a foster home?
Yes, ma'am.
How are they doing in that home?
They're doing very well. We placed them on 3/22, and since then they've started school and started doing very well, bonding with the caregiver.
At our first hearing, the judge ordered a home study on the paternal grandmother. Has that been started?
There is a paternal grandmother, and that's Monette. I've talked to her. I did get a preliminary on her from Lizette Starr, the previous investigator on this case, and they had stated at that time Miss Monette would need to move because she's living in an RV. When I talked to Miss Monette, she did state that she would be willing to move to get the children.
Okay, now the department has some safety concerns with her, is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Is she one of the relatives that knew about the physical abuse prior to the removal?
Yes, ma'am.
So is there some concern with giving her false hope in terms of telling her she would need to move, but the department in all likelihood would still not condone placement with her? Is that fair to say?
Correct. Correct.
Are there any other relatives that the family members have recommended?
Not at this moment.
All right. And have you made it clear to both parents that they can submit the form that sets forward relatives, the child placement resources form, or submit other names as well?
No, ma'am. The first time that I've talked to Ava Ballard is today. She had not been into communications with me. Now with Mr. Ballard, he does know that he can have other family members.
Okay, but he has not provided any names?
To me, no.
Okay, when you spoke with Miss Ballard this morning, did she discuss the open warrant that she has?
She did ask what she should do, and I did tell her she should turn herself in.
So you have some suspicion that that may be part of why she hasn't been very forthcoming with communication?
I would be assuming yes.
Has she ever submitted a test that the court ordered at the first hearing?
No, she did not.
And if that is her that's logged on, would you like her to hear that, that is an order of the court and we will send her as soon as she makes herself available?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Turning to this status hearing itself, have you done a service plan for Mr. and Mrs. Ballard?
I did one for Mr. Ballard.
And was he able to review that plan?
Not yet. Our system had a glitch in it, and I was able to e-file it this morning, but I will go out within this week to next week so he can go over it, and I will have him sign it if he will consent to it.
All right. And can you send that to his attorney as well?
Yes.
What is the department asking of Mr. Ballard in terms of services?
He's needing to show he has housing, employment. We're needing a psychological evaluation, individual counseling, an OSAR, drug testing, parenting classes, and domestic violence classes.
All right. Now you said you had only done one for Mr. Ballard. What has been the delay in Mrs. Ballard's family plan of service?
Today was the first time that I've talked to her. I've tried reaching out to her with the phone number that I had. There was no communication. It seemed like that it was possible that the phone number had been cut off.
Now, we need a service plan, whether she's made herself available or not. So can you commit to this court to get that finished and filed with the court by the end of this week?
Yes, ma'am.
And what kind of services will you be asking of Miss Ballard?
It will be the same services.
In Your Honor, it looks like Miss Savage is saying that Miss Ballard might be in the waiting room.
Right. So I was waiting for a break. There was a person in the waiting room. They're not there now. The screen name was "Don't Worry About It." So I had no idea who that was, and I was going to ask who that was. So if that was Miss Ballard, it wasn't clear by her screen name. It said "Don't worry about it." But if she wants to sign back in, I can admit her.
All right, Miss Nahara, once Miss Ballard makes herself available, will you go over that service plan with her as well?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and again, regardless of if you've reached her or not, you will file it with this court by Friday.
Yes.
All right. Is there anything else the court needs to know about the progress of this case?
Not at this time.
Have you received any kind of update from Mr. Ballard on his criminal charges?
No, I have not.
I'll pass the witness.
Miss Savage, you may ask any questions you might have for Ms. Nahara.
Ms. Nahara, will you be able to set up those services for Ms. Ballard to be completed virtually?
There are some classes that are virtual and there are some classes that are in person.
Have you sent, or will you be sending out the referrals for the virtual classes by the end of the week?
I can try to get them out by the end of the week, but I have to set up that service plan for her.
Okay. And then for the in-person services, will you get with Ms. Ballard to see where she's located so that way we can get services set up as close to her as we can?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Have you visited with the children
Yes,
since
I
they've
have.
been placed in Houston?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Have you asked them about their desires if they want to have communications with their mother?
They stated that, or shall I say, Evander stated he would like to talk with his mom.
Are the children getting started in any kind of therapy?
Yes, ma'am. They were in therapy while they were here, and to my knowledge, they are setting them up for therapy over there. I haven't gotten the therapist's name yet.
Have any of the children had ECI evaluations?
Not to my knowledge.
Okay. Will placement be setting that up for the younger children?
Yes, if the only child that would need it would be Winter, and she's 3 years old at this time.
Okay. I will pass the witness, Your Honor.
Ms. Nahara, did you say that you have or have not gone over the service plan with Mr. Ballard?
I got the service plan e-filed this morning, so I will be able to take it out to him today.
Okay. Have you had a chance to discuss with him at all anything about services?
I did whenever I talked to him about the FSNA.
About the what?
The FSNA, the Family Strengths Assessment. Whenever I did that with him, we talked about services then.
Okay, and did he indicate to you whether or not he was willing to do those services?
He did. He stated he would.
All right, and did he seem to understand what it was that you were asking of him?
Yes, he did.
All right, and have you provided at all to him who those service providers would be or how to get those things started, or is that all part of the service plan?
That's a part of the service plan. As soon as I have those sent out for the referrals, I'll give him everything that I've got.
Okay. And has he been cooperative with you thus far?
So far, yes.
All right. Do you see any barriers to him being able to complete those services?
Not at this time.
And how about parent-child visits with Mr. Ballard?
There's no parent-child visits there. When we had court last, it was no contact.
Okay. What has to happen for him to be able to have the visits with his children?
For the court to order contact, he would need to start services and show that there's been a change.
Okay. And you can assure this court that any delay in the services would not be because of the department or you or making referrals, correct?
Correct.
All right, thank you. I'll pass the witness.
Thank you, Your Honor. I know Ms. Savage had asked about ECI, but Ken's is still pending.
And would you like to know what it is for each child?
Yes, please.
Okay. For Evander, it's counseling with extracurricular activities and a peer group. For Silver, it is counseling and educational tutoring. For Royce, counseling, educational tutoring. For Aurora, it's talk to the pediatrician about her misbehaving behaviors. There was nothing else on the cans for that. And at the time, Winter was too small for the cans.
Okay. Now, all children except maybe Aurora and Winter are school age, right?
Correct. Aurora is starting pre-K. That's where she's at now. She's in pre-K, and the rest of the kids are in school. Winter is in daycare.
Okay, good. And no negative reports since they've been in the placement?
No, sir.
Okay. Yeah. What's your opinion as to the parents having limited contact?
I feel at this time it wouldn't be appropriate for the things that were put in the affidavit. I think the family should have counseling, if anything, and then go from there, get the recommendations.
Okay, thank you. I'll pass.
All right. Ms. Levi, any additional questions for Ms. Nahara?
Just very briefly, Ms. Nahara, given that Ms. Ballard has logged on, I just want to recap. Would you agree that what we need from her right now is to submit to the hair strand ordered by this court and get with you to discuss services?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and those are the two things we want her to do first, as well as resolve the open warrant.
Correct.
All right, I'll pass the witness.
All right. Thank you, Ms. Levi. Any additional questions from any party for Ms. Nahara? If not, Ms. Levi, any additional witnesses you wish to call?
No, Your Honor, the state would just ask that you approve placement in the one filed family plan of service and the second one when it's filed by the end of the week.
All right. Thank you. Ms. Savage, any witnesses from you?
No, Your Honor.
Mr. Finkel
No witnesses.
and Mr. Cabrera?
No witnesses, I rest, Your Honor.
All right. Mr. Cabrera, do you have anything to add?
Your Honor, I have not been to the placement in Houston since the kids were moved, but did visit them at the prior shelter. Evander has also relayed to me a wish to speak to his mother, and I to be honest, I'm conflicted about what my recommendation should be for that. He is bonded to his mother. He wants to talk to her. Given the nature of what's happened, I'm not sure I'm in a place to be able to recommend that right now. I would like to see mom engaged, at least begin an engagement to at least effectuate some kind of phone contact before that. So right now, I don't believe I can recommend that.
All right, well, thank you, Mr. Cabrera and Mr. Scheck-Snyder. Anything you'd like to add at this time?
Yes, Judge. CASA is in agreement that contact is not appropriate at the moment. I believe there's also possibility of the terms of the parents' bond preventing that contact as well. I need to look further into that. I did speak to placement today. I haven't gotten to go to Houston, and there's been some scheduling conflicts with Ms. Gregorio and placement schedule to be able to go see them. But I am going on Cheryl's behalf on Friday to visit with the kids. Placement reports the kids have adjusted very well to being in her home. She doesn't have any behavioral concerns at this time. She said they've really acclimated well. The kids are all in school and daycare, and the placement seems to be meeting their needs. She did say that they didn't come with very many clothes, and so she is needing assistance with clothing. I did tell her that for the older two children, Evander and Silver, I would reach out to Houston Threads, which is a part of SA Threads here in San Antonio, to see if they would allow them to go in and select some new shoes and clothing, things like that. But if the parents have clothing for the kids, if they could provide them, I would appreciate it. I will meet them to take them to them whenever I go on Friday. So that they can have some of their items from home with them. So I think we're going to also be looking at their educational needs, because I know they were out of school for a significant amount of time before they came into care. So we want to make sure that any assessments the schools can provide to determine that the needs are met. We would like to move forward with that.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Scheck-Snyder. Does anyone else need to address the court at this time?
Your Honor, I would just ask, any filings made by the department or any communications restrict my client's residence and address? I know there is a domestic violence relationship, and she's not wanting that information disclosed. So if we can just make sure we're extra cautious about that.
All right. Thank you, Ms. Savage. All right. Based on the testimony the court has heard today, the court is going to adopt and approve the service plan developed and filed for Mr. Ballard, and will adopt and approve the service plan as described that will be developed following this hearing for Ms. Ballard. The court finds that the services contained within the service plans as described today in testimony are reasonable and appropriate under the circumstances to address the reasons we're here and to help promote any potential for family reunification. The court will therefore make each of these elements of the service plan a formal order of the court today. In addition, the court is going to continue the current placement for the children. The court finds that continuation of that placement is in their best interest, that all of their physical, emotional, and developmental needs are being met there presently. It's in their best interest to remain there as it allows all of them to stay together. And it is the best suited to help assess their educational needs and to get them involved in the therapeutic services that they need to get engaged in. So I'm ordering that placement to continue. As far as the issues of visitation, what I would like to see are the parents' engagement in services and specifically getting therapy initiated individually, as well as individual therapy for the children. And I would like some guidance from professionals regarding how and when and under what circumstances we initiate that contact. And I am open to it when it's determined to be in their best interest. And I don't think we're there right now, but it's something if there's some progress or changes, and we get the kids in a good place therapeutically themselves, that I think it could potentially be beneficial and not harmful to their emotional health and well-being. So I'm open to that, and I hope, Ms. Nahara, that you understand what I'm hoping to see and what sort of the framework is for those visits to be considered and facilitated. In addition, I am going to order, it sounds like the children have some pretty significant needs for clothing. And I'd like to order Miss Ballard, Mr. Ballard, if you have any access to clothes that they had prior to coming into care. Mr. Scheck-Snyder has generously offered to meet you and collect them. I'd like to order you to provide what you have so that they have more clothing than they currently have. And for Belong to supplement that as well, because we have 5 children here, and that is a lot to ask any foster placement to try to facilitate. And I think Belong, I'd like to see additional efforts made to make sure that they have all of their necessities, both to attend school and to get them where they should be in terms of options for daily life. In addition, I want you all to know that I have signed off on a discovery control plan that sets forth this court's expectations regarding sharing information in preparation of final trial. It does not need any of your signatures. You just need to make yourself aware of its terms and conditions so that you have the information that you need when trial arrives in this case. And in addition, I've prepared a pretrial scheduling order that sets forth all of our future hearing dates in this case. Those include our next hearing, which is an initial permanency hearing scheduled for August the 9th at 4 p.m. Also, a permanency review before final order on November the 8th at 9:30, and a final trial on January the 24th at 9:30. Is it the preference of all parties in this case to continue these proceedings via Zoom?
Yes, Your Honor.
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, I see
Sure.
uniform agreement. So I will note for the record that for all of those future settings, they will be conducted via Zoom as well. I think I have everything, covered everything that I meant to. Is there anything that I missed or that this court needs to address and get in place so that we can move forward and work to the benefit of these children? If not, I do have to admonish Mr. Ballard and Miss Ballard. I have to admonish you at each and every hearing that the state of Texas gives parents in your situation 1 year to show the court your ability to provide your children with a safe, stable, drug-free, and violence-free home. If you're unable to do that within that span of time, your rights are subject to being restricted like they are right now, or terminated, which means cut off altogether. And in addition, I want you to know that we currently have a dismissal date in this case. That dismissal date is February the 26th of 2024. So we have to reach a final order regarding these children by that date. All right, is there anything else? If not, thank you all. All parties are excused.